using a 120-30% pot sizing is just not a thing. Makes it very, very easy for Kevin to react. All right, let's keep going with reviewing Fedor's little cash experience here. We still have 2 tables of NL 5K in the bottom. Fedor played some huge pots, so we are sitting there with way more than 100 big blinds on both of those tables. And 2 1K tables as an addition at the top. So let's keep an eye on the bottom left table. After contemplating a preflop raise, Fedor went for the limp. Keep in mind that the bottom left table is an anti-table. So limping is way more interesting since the price is just way better. And you want to build, definitely want to build a limping range that is protected by strong hands as well. So ace-5 suited, I guess, was either created as a limp call or a limp raise. Raising is fine as well. For beginners of limping strategies, playing with ante, just think a little of it that you mix it, like mix all hands and everything, and then your limp raising range, which is the most complicated, looks like a little like a big blind versus button 3 betting range. Just important to limp those hands in the first place. This is why I'm just expecting Fedor to limp raise ace-5 suited there quite often. Then, facing that ace-8-6 board, it's actually not the best board in the world. With its straight connectivity around the 6 and the 8, villain has all those 7x, 9x, 5x type of hands. We have lots of Broadway cards as well that just do not hit. So betting small would be fine. Checking is my preferred option here. And then after check, the jack is a great card for our range, easy to find lots of bluffs that have still outs, our Broadways, 9-10, Queen-10, this type of stuff. So definitely now the point to start betting large with our good value hands as well. Ace-5 is definitely one of those. It's just a weak top here, but we are in a limp pot after check. This is a very, very strong hand by now. The 7, the 9-10 gets there. I mean, obviously both players can have that, but still like not a game-changing card. And we definitely have a clear big value bet here again, which I expect not villain, but Fedor to go for. He goes for like 3/4 pot, something like that. Super fine. Villain can have any 8, any jack, any 6. Well, kicker doesn't play with our ace, but that's about it. I like the play. And against that raise, villain pretty much, I'm not sure the sizing is on the larger side. Not really sure whether he can wrap something. I'm not too experienced in limp pots, whether that still could be like a 6-7, 8-7 type of hand, or he's actually wrapping stronger, like a 9-5, 9-10 straight only, maybe ace-7. I think this is more of a larger race, so definitely prefer to have a 9 or a 10 for those call-offs. Ace-5 is a random catcher, remember, I think Isidro was the guy we had in other parts with like crazy bluffs before. I would definitely tag that Isidro guy just because of that hand as like somewhat crazy freak. So just calling a somewhat random catcher seems definitely fine. We are in a limp pot with lots of crazy combinations going on. We've seen the 10-7. So maybe just to say that again, if you like the way I'm describing stuff here, this is how we work at Poker Code as well. We are a full community of players that help each other, evolve as poker players as well as in life in general. So just this is the hand discussions that go on all the time. This is type of videos we're making, all kind of that content, helping each other, evaluating each other, and this is what we do at Poker Code. Now back to the action. Small blind versus cutoff 3-bet. We have king 10 suited. Looks like a great hand. Calling is an option. I mean, the standard option. 4-betting is an option as well. Fedor goes for the call, and we have a very interesting flop. I guess we have, if facing bets, no decision to make for 2 streets, but now this is really interesting. This is something I haven't seen before. We are playing 200 big blinds deep. I'm not a 200 big blind specialist. I'm just sometimes playing that deep, and then mainly not against some of the best players in the world. So what we are seeing here is a 10% bet. Mainly it's just saying, hey, Kevin's saying fold your freaking 8-9 of diamonds. We are not allowed to fold any pockets, I would say. There are 2 outs to still make a set is great. We are not allowed to fold anything with any kinds of backdoors. So it's really, it's more the challenge to build the correct raising range. In game, I would treat that more or less like a check because I'm forced to continue with everything. I can maybe fold like 5 to 10%. That's about it. Against a check, I'm forced to play 100% of my range. Yeah, what would I be raising here? Am I raising something like King 10? Would I bet that against a check? Close, right? So I see both things. I can see a raise, I can see a call. That's like the same thing like Kevin checks to me and it goes check, check. Or he checks to me and I bet whatever sizing I want to bet, probably betting on the little larger side here, something like half pot, and go from there. So let's see which choice Fedor makes. Okay, going for a sizing and then clicking on the call button. So I treat that spot again as kind of a check, check. And now delayed game. It's really, I'm so curious to see Kevin's hand here. And now after check, check, I just think that just like for your mind makes it a little easier. What would you do after check, check on the flop? Where here the bet, yes, there was a bet, there was a call, but basically the same thing happened because the bet was so tiny. I think on that flush board now, King 10 is like one clear street of value. Right? If you bet now, you don't get away with the river bet. Maybe on the deuce of hearts. Villain should be protected with all the flushes he's having. He can play jacks and kings like that as well. All kinds of spades he can play that way. I think I'm more in the checking camp because I don't need to deny equity. Denying for me really means this equity folds. Spades are not folding. So it's more like I could charge spades to then check back. That works out. Or I can strengthen my range. Check back, have an easy call against anything. A raise against a block bet. Or just a large bet against a check. And we see the same thing. Fedor thinks about it, types in the sizing, thinks about the check. I like to see that a lot. He decides that he likes to charge spades, maybe fold out even something like ace 10, ace queen, overcard plus gut shot. It's kind of a success as well. Call, and on that 8, I think this is just too thin to go for value because villain is still protected. Should play quite some, should play jacks like that sometimes, should play lots of flushes like that if he uses that 10% line as a standard thing. And now we are betting a king with no kicker. I think it's just too thin. We are running in too many better hands. Sure, we get sometimes called by queens, by ace jack, by some tens with a spade. That's all fine. But the risk of getting jammed on just like kills that thin value for us. 200 big blinds deep. I'm not 100% sure myself. Would be interesting to run it. And now I really hope to see the showdown. We get the fold, okay. Right, now very interesting here. Bottom right to see Fedor's decision. Now we are out of position and that argument is even stronger because we are 200 big blinds deep out of position. This is even for 100 big blinds, almost a 0% call. Sometimes a fold and sometimes a 4-bet. So now it's even more about board coverage when we play deeper to make sure to have nuts on certain board types. Yeah, that makes it, I mean, sometimes calling cannot be too bad, but makes it not that interesting to draw to a top pair that is kind of second best, right? When we flop a queen, it's not the greatest thing in the world. When we flop an ace, we still are beaten by any ace king. So it's not the perfect spot. Hitting a straight or something is kind of face up compared to other hands that could make straights. 4-betting can be a thing, but it's not the spot where we are happy to stack off like top pairs, like we are 100 big blinds deep. So it's very, very interesting. Fedor goes for the c-bet as we've seen all the time, always going for the slightly looser decision, going for the slightly more aggressive decision. Yeah, let's see how he plays that board. Let's think about how ranges look like. Villain should have quite some 5, 6, 6, 7 suited. Villain has all kinds of pairs. The question is whether villain has a 5-betting range that deep. Is kings a good value 5-bet? Is Fedor always 4-betting queens and jacks? Or is it more like aces and ace-x? So actually villain has quite a lot of good hands. As well as villain has king queen of hearts, king jack of diamonds maybe. So here I would like to see either a check because it's just not really our board, or see him starting off with kind of a small bet to attack that weaker stuff. Having that ace of spades tell us a little the direction of where the pot could go. Some blockers, some potentials for the turn. A big bet doesn't make too much sense. It's too easy for villain to react. Half pot still is okay. It's more now just like hammering on villain with jacks and no spade pretty much. And now the question is, right, what would Fedor do with aces, for example? Where does he start to only wrap a flush or something? Yeah, really, really, really interesting spot. I think aces are good enough to go all the way. And just like some 6, 7, 5, 6 should raise the flop. Aces with a spade should be fine, just like how many kings, queens, jacks they are facing. So I'm thinking about that because my bluffing hands always want to do the same thing like my value hands. Here the ace of spades is obviously just a gin card to have. And yeah, right. So 7-8 of diamonds on the bottom left. Flopping a flush seems good. I might repeat myself here, but yeah, flush pots pretty much play as if there was no flush, just sizes get decreased because both players have all kinds of nuts. And then at some point you're in the flush zone. Something that we are usually not seeing here is just splitting your range now. Using a 120-30% pot sizing is just not a thing. Makes it very, very easy for Kevin to react because he shouldn't check raise too often on that 3 diamonds board. He has all king high flushes, all queen high flushes, all jack high flushes, all 10 high flushes, all 9 high flushes. So seeing that, it's quite an easy fold with just like ace 7 no diamonds. And this is something you can do that as an exploit against people who are just not folding. It's more like him playing his hand face up, maximum charging king x of diamonds and charging like ace x, like those hands that call anyways before there's another diamond. So I really don't like to see that split because I'm just saying in no way that is ever balanced. No way that is balanced. So now what I like to see here is, since this line, it could be by Fedor, it could be something like ace king, ace queen, just getting that maximum out as well to then check back. Fedor's hand kind of is the same because it has the clear plan of checking back diamond rivers. I love seeing that race here. I think you won't find that too much in a solver, but just like how I think, or how my experience is, how that pot is played, which lines are, it's like it's just triggered by certain hand types. Kevin wants to fast play his strong flushes, as well as adding some bluffs here to just like give ace queen offsuit a challenge. That's probably ace queen of spades, probably a snap fold here. So just take over initiative, just saying, hey, that big bet doesn't make sense, whatever you try to represent here. My raise doesn't make sense either, but I put you on a certain type of hand strength. Yeah, now Fedor all of a sudden from fist pump value is in a bluff catch situation. Villain is not check raising worse for value. Maybe pocket eights, but we are blocking that. I don't see Fedor folding a flush ever, to be honest. I'm interested whether we see the freaking diamond bluff or not. I don't think we even need the... I would prefer to see Kevin's bluff containing like a 10 of diamonds or a 9 of diamonds. Like, I don't see Fedor ever overbetting like the king x of diamonds. And now, okay, it was just a bluff give up. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Let's see. Just my assumptions. All right, but I still like the line, and I mean, this here is something we could look up in the solver. Everyone can do that for himself. Flush boards, turnover betting, not really happening. So we're on a very exploitative level here, just like trying to make certain things happening for our hands. And this is now where we have seen Fedor against one of the best cash game players just fighting it out. Fedor had the advantage of just having a flush, obviously, winning that hand. But if I would need to bet, I think Kevin had the better end of the strategy here. So I kind of need to rank down that play to like a 3 or 4 out of 10. All right, let's wrap it up here. Very interesting footage again. Lots of interesting hands going on. Not the biggest ones so far, but we see the pattern, just like the same pattern over and over again. Fedor slightly too loose pre-flop, slightly too aggressive, I would say, with 3 betting, 4 betting. So far, he didn't get hurt for that, right? We didn't face a 5-bet jam, not like light 4 bets against his 2 light 3 bets or something like that. And it's all working out for him. And that one against Kevin with that 7-8, I just have to give him a down rate for that. So I stick to the 6 out of 10 rating for pre-flop. I gave him great ratings for post-flop so far in most of the parts. This one I have to downgrade for that 7-8 of diamonds, only give him like a 7.2. Thanks again as always for tuning in. I hope you enjoy those highlights, and if you want to see more discussions and participate in like talks about hands like that, check out Poker Code. This is what we are doing there with the community, as well as live coachings like that, where you can participate in the chat and just talk to me and Fedor and Matthias and everyone. And yeah, we enjoy that a lot. This is how we get better. And I would love to see you in the team as well.